Hello, this is Big Bopper here with another Malifaux Batrep. This was a game from a couple of weeks back, so I'm sorry if my memory's a bit foggy. Anyway, the mission was Recon. It was 50 Soulstones, so I decided to take Molly, and she had Forgotten Life, Tears of the Gorgon, and Terrible Knowledge for upgrades. I got 2 Canine Remains. As you can see, I've got Madame Sibel there with Bleeding Tongue and not too banged up. Sebastian, those are not ours as his upgrade. A Rotten Bell and the Valedictorian with no upgrades. As you can see, it's a pretty elite crew, quite small for reses, but I was hoping that with the upgrade from Sebastian, he could raise a dog or two, and with Madam's and Molly can do some summoning when near the enemy. So I'm hoping I could swing the numbers in my favour. I took Bodyguard on Sebastian and Outflank Announce because I think Outflank is a pretty easy scheme to at least get 2 points on. If you announce it, if you just have one model within 3 inches of the side, you get 2 victory points. So that's pretty good. My opponent took Jacob Lynch, and he took the Rising Sun, so Hungering Darkness could keep on coming back. Want to see a trick, and woke up with a hand. He also had Graves, Tannen, 2 Illuminated, a Beckoner, and the Depleted. I hadn't seen a Depleted in action, so that was good. For his schemes, he took Bodyguard on the Hungering Darkness, go figure, and he also took Outflank Announced. We tend to have our favourite schemes, and Bodyguard on a model that you can keep on bringing back if you kill an enemy model with Brilliance is a good idea. The deployment for this was close deployment. We've never played it before, and it really allowed us to push some models right up in our in each other's faces, and it sort of allowed us to have engagements turn one. So you don't get it often, but it's quite a fun thing. I imagine if you were up against a really melee-centric crew and you weren't, you'd be hugging that back line as much as possible. Yeah, but anyway, it's good to have these different deployments. It makes for a varied game. So deployment here, we have Tannen with Graves in front of him, protecting him, the Illuminated and a Beckoner. So I think they're hoping to get brilliant shenanigans there. Graves for an 8 Soulstone model can actually really put out the herd with a 3, 5, 6 damage flip, I think it is. If he gets a ram on the attack, he gets positive flips to damage. And some nice push effects in there, and he can affect charges. He's a good, solid model. And Tannen is just annoying as all get out, as it'll prove in the game. So we've got the Hungering Darkness there in front of Lynch, Illuminated, and a Depleted. So he's hoping for the Illuminated and Depleted to hold that zone for Recon and also to contest for Outflank scheme. Depleted are a great choice. Didn't realise at the end of beta they weren't insignificant. So, for 8 wounds, hard to wound, hard to kill, and, significant 4 Soulstone minion, that's really good. They're not easy to put down. And if you do, they blow up and give you brilliance. So there is Madame Sibel behind the rock with Rotten Bell, just to get some early lure shenanigans in. Luring with the not too banged up upgrade is quite nasty. You can move things in quite quickly. And I put her forward so she can use a call bell on Molly to move her in position. Molly really wants to be close to the action for her summons and for her damaging. But I didn't want her in a place where she could start being targeted. Although Molly is, with Masterful Dead, quite hard to take down. There's Sebastian behind the rock there just to get some, avoid any turn 1 engagements with my Bodyguard model, and hopefully the dogs will do their 2 actions and I can get a corpse counter and summon 1 dog. You only need 6 of crows to summon a dog, so for Sebastian that's really good. In conjunction with his poison shenanigans, it can be really nasty. So as we can see, this is the end of turn 1. We did get in early. The Valedictorian and Molly are right up there. Sibel did call Molly up, and then Molly moved in position. She got a Whispered Secret on Graves to give him negative flips to any jewels. That is such a nasty ability. And then hit him with a Revelation, severe damage. He was paralysed for next turn. So Graves, I think by this stage, was down to 1 or 2 wounds, and the Valedictorian was moved up by Molly's 0 to be in place to start whacking Graves next turn. I brought in a Student of Sinew that had 3 wounds. That pulse where the enemy has to do a 15 willpower duel or take 1 point of damage is really nasty. I think Tannen took some damage off that. He got 1 attack in. I don't even think he lasted the turn. They only come in with so few wounds. But Molly was already making a presence felt. She just has so many actions to do in a turn, and it's usually pretty clear what you can do. She is really a summoner enemy debuffer. That's how I see her. Not as great support of her models as Nico, but pretty darn good at causing pain. So Madame Sibel's there just to pull Molly out of trouble if she gets into trouble. She did a shriek and did some damage to the Illuminated. But, you know, with regen armor 1 and the Brill Shaper, it'll get back up to full wounds. Rotten Bell there is just getting in a position so she can see the other side of the board and so she can lure things into that 6-inch zone of no score. I didn't have to do that, but it was an option. And, you know, the Hungering Darkness had moved over the wall and Lynch had moved across that way to start causing damage there. He thought he needed the numbers there in the fight. So Sebastian did manage to summon in another Canine Remains, and now he's moving out to the side. I'm a bit worried about the Hungering Darkness there, and I'm just trying to get Sebastian in a position where he'll have some protection. As you can see, one of my dogs, the Summon Dog, I think it was, or yeah, the Summon Dog has already moved into the other zone. So I'm competing for Reconnoiter. The Illuminated and the Depleted are both moved up. So they'll score for Recon next turn for him, and, you know, maybe even push into my zone. So this is the end of turn 2, and as you can see, the Illuminated has pushed into my zone. My opponent, you know, playing aggressively, trying to force the issue. I've got 3 dogs there. He was pretty confident that with the damage output of the Illuminated and also its resilience, it could take down 3 dogs. I was hoping my 3 dogs could hold him up because I really didn't want to send any significant models that way to deal with the Illuminated. That would remove whatever power I had on my other flank going up against all these heavy hitters. So the next shot coming up, you'll see that the Depleted is right on the corner there. So he's getting in position to get that outflank points and also just hold the 1 point for Recon. You can see in the top left-hand corner off the board in front of the coffee cup, Graves and Tannen are dead, which is very nice. Tannen had to go because of his cheating aura. You know, you've got to discard a card to cheat. You'd go through your hand very quickly. He is so annoying. Such a good model. As you can see, there's lots of corpse counters there. So my Valedictorian managed to kill off Graves and actually got the push trigger off on one of her attacks. Whereas you can push him 4 inches and then move into base contact. And at the time, my opponent and I decided you couldn't move a dead body. It turns out you can, which is unfortunate because then I would have been able to move the Valedictorian 4 inches and, you know, with a 3-inch melee range, be able to engage Lynch and put a bit of pressure on him. Hungering Darkness did a bit of damage to the Valedictorian, got some brilliance on it, and then Lynch had been storing aces, and then he did his Want to see a trick? Did his 52 card pickup, showed me 3 aces and did 6 damage to me. I could have prevented with the Soul Stone, but at that stage I didn't have a lot and I'd have to flip moderate damage to keep her on 1 wound, so I thought I'd just let her die. As you can see, whatever else I summoned in there died. Sebastian summoned in another dog with all the corpse counters, and he's starting to get poison onto the Hungering Darkness, and then Sebastian did some more poison damage on Hungering Darkness. That is a new Hungering Darkness. He died of poison, the poison aura that Sebastian puts up at the end of the game. So Sebastian's, you know, got another dog to charge, Hungering Darkness, and again put some poison on him. The synergy between the dogs giving out poison and then that aura that Sebastian has. You know, if you activate with the poison condition, you take 1 point of poison damage within 6 inches of him, and then you take another 2 points of poison damage. And at the end of the turn, if you suffer poison damage, you also suffer another 2 poison damage. So that just really stacks up. Sebastian doesn't have to actually attack anybody. He just has to stand there and just watch people melt away from him. I think Sebastian had taken some damage from Lynch's gun. By now, my opponent, he was going to go for Sebastian just because of the poison damage, but I suspect he knew that Sebastian was my bodyguard guy. You know, the Beckoner was there, hadn't done a lot. Corpse Counter next to Lynch was something else that Molly summoned in. Molly moved back behind the wall here because, you know, wanted to get out of the range of the Hungering Darkness. Lots of corpse counters out. It really made me think after the game that corpse bloat on Madame Sibel, for example, could be a really nice upgrade. And it also got me thinking, you know, the spare parts upgrade, you know, I always thought it was a waste of time, but summoning a rogue Necro wouldn't have been that hard. It's a 2 action, and you wouldn't have been able to do it every turn, and that's why I balk at it. But still, it gives Molly the potential to drop something like a rogue Necro turn 3 or 4 right in your opponent's face. Might be worth a try sometime. Rotten Bell has just moved next to Sebastian. Sebastian's moving in position for turn 4 to start scoring points on Bodyguard. He also got up his aura of negative flips on shooting, which my opponent was really frustrated with because Lynch had a hard time getting through that. Sebastian, folks, take him. He's good. you could probably use him in every Reza faction, really. End of turn 3, the fight with the Illuminated did not go well for the Illuminated. He charged in, killed a dog, and then my dogs both charged in. And I didn't flip under moderate damage and kept them putting poison, and so the next dog could charge as a 1 action. So it left the Illuminated at the end of the turn with 1 wound and 4 poison on him, so he just, at the end of the turn, last bit of damage from poison, dead. So I've secured that flank. I was pretty lucky. My opponent felt a bit ripped off. Anyway, this is the end of turn 4, and both my dogs have now moved up to claim outflank and also get the recon points, and to maybe take some recon points away from my opponent next turn. I think I did this turn anyway, because my summoning, the attrition of the reses is just incredible. Even with Molly's type summoning, where, you know, the models come out with not many wounds, you just really wear down your opponent. And he'd already lost Graves, Tannen, and an Illuminated. He'd lost a Hungering Darkness once by this stage, or twice maybe. As you can see, this is the end of turn 4. I managed to get Sebastian right over the wall there into his own, claimed a point for Bodyguard. I was down to half wounds. Lynch was down on 1 wound because I did some damage to him and got the poison aura up on him, or he's left on 4 wounds or something now. And he already had poison on him, so when he activates, he'd be down to 1 wound. I really needed to win initiative next turn to finish him off before he activated, because, you know, I announced Bodyguard, and these Sebastian, Lynch will just shoot him. Lynch in this edition can do a surprising amount of damage. It's not just a Hungering Darkness. You know, his card tricks and everything is nice, but, you know, even with his gun, if he discards or cheats in a ram, he's doing a minimum of 4 damage. You know, he's still a bit squishy, but he is nasty. As you will see in the next frame, the Hungering Darkness bolted for my side of the board. And, you know, pretty mobile with Incorporeal. So he got a point for Bodyguard then, and I thought, right, I've got to try and stop the Hungering Darkness. You know, how am I going to do this? And the answer that I came up with, bell spam. You know, multiple lures, that would be a wonderful thing to do. Yeah, so... No, I just thought, well, next turn I'll try and get in some bells and then just lure, and try and keep him in his zone and deny him those points for Bodyguard. But we'll see how that turned out. So this is the end of turn 5. Sebastian died. That's very sad. Jacob Lynch got activation and shot him. You know, cruel fate, really. As you can see, there's another 2 bells on there. So I did go the bell spam. I actually managed to get Hungering Darkness back, and then he moved back out, and he had high enough cards to resist the lure. And 2 of the bells only had 1 action. I can't remember if I gave him an extra lure with Molly's 0 action. But yeah, I'm winning Recon here. Yeah, I've got the numbers. Hungering Darkness has sprinted down into his zone after being lured back a bit. What was great is Madame Sabelle managed to get a Shriek off on Hungering Darkness and get him below half wound, so he wouldn't get a maximum points for Bodyguard. So that was a consolation. I was happy with that. It would have been nice to deny him completely, but Hungering Darkness hard to stop. As you can see, in turn 5 there, I've got both my dogs up there. I thought he got points for outflank there, because I still think not the Illuminated, the Depleted was still there, but a picture with him off the board. But he did get points for outflank, and I don't think he got it on the other side. I couldn't see anybody there giving him points for outflank there. So the Depleted must have stayed on the board. My opponent just pulled him off early. There's Hungering Darkness getting 2 points for Bodyguard. Missed out on the extra 1 because of the wounds that was done to him by Shriek. But, you know, my opponent, yeah, he did well. He got 2 points for Recon. I denied him Recon for 2 turns. He got 2 points for Bodyguard and 2 points for outflank because he announced and that Depleted was there. So, even though he was really suffering the losses, he was still keeping in the points race. And that's what's great about Malifaux. You can be getting your teeth kicked in, and you're still, you know, you're still getting your points. So it was an 8-6 win to Molly. I only got 1 point for Bodyguard. I got maximum for outflank, and I got maximum for the strategy. So what do I say about Molly? Man, she is good. Just an excellent model. Masterful Dead just keeps her alive. And just all the different things she can do. I'll only ever run her with horrors. I don't have many spirits in the reses yet, and if I want to run spirits, I reckon Kirai will be a better choice. But she's great. The Valedictorian, didn't see the best of her. I've used her since, and I find her handy, especially if she gets rams on her attack. Her damage just becomes nasty. And she's so mobile. 3-inch engagement range, great. Madame Sibel, for Corbell alone, is great with Molly. I think next time I'll get rid of the not too banged up and take Corpse Bloke. And Sebastian proves his worth yet again. He didn't get me the bodyguards, but his summoning is good. I mean, I got rid of dogs to get soul stones back as well. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the game, and I'll see you guys next time.